company. And we love to watch companies grow. And we firmly believe that companies grow only when you grow. And that's why we build the company with community first and foremost. We are a purpose and coaching marketplace, and we work with companies to offer coaching at scale. We're very, very happy to have amazing speakers today. We've got IBM, SAP, and Mercer. And I'd love to start maybe by getting straight into the topic and by introducing our speakers. First up is Tammy Kelly, the Director of HR at IBM in Canada. And she's going to share her perspective on digital transformation initiatives within HR departments and their impact on business outcomes. We also have Jason, and we're going to start spotlighting you on the screen. We've got Jason joining us from Mercer in the US. He is a senior partner, and he's also a global authority on all things HR transformation. He has recently launched his latest book called The Ultimate Guide to a Digital Workforce Experience, Leap for a Purpose. So I hope you do check it out. And last but not least, we have Juliet joining us from Kenya. And I'm super happy to see also an African country join us today. She's joining us from SAP SuccessFactors, and she's on a mission to help organizations redefine the employee experience. So very happy to have our amazing 4 speakers today. And what we are going to do is we're going to start off with a panel discussion, as we always do. And we're going to go through about 4 questions to all of the panelists. And then we're going to take a pause and then have all of you have a chance to have a discussion, have dialogue, and ask them any questions you have. So please feel free to listen in and prep any questions that you have. And maybe before we do that, we wanted to just do another quick poll on how many of you are using AI today, just to get an understanding of what's happening in this room. How many of you use AI today? If you can scan the barcode and answer, that would be wonderful. And
just a way for us to put things into perspective in line with our topic today. Feel free to share. Again, you can find a link in the comments if you're unable to scan the barcode. And what I will do is I will share the results and see how many of us find AI as essential as it is on a daily basis. All right, we've got, it's a daily must. We've got somewhat. We've got 46 participants and attendees here today. I'm sure we can bump up those numbers a little bit. Get voting. All right. Daily must seems to be winning in the lead.
And the good thing is nobody said never.
Yes.
Tammy, what do you think of these results?
Yeah, I think it's well, maybe a little bit surprising on the somewhat. I think for us it is a daily must, but I think maybe some folks are still having their morning coffee or ending their day.
Okay, wonderful. Jason, what do you think?
I think that it's a great question, and I think overall no one understands what they just answered. That's my thought. We all use AI every day. Just the fact that we're on this call today, there's AI embedded in Zoom software. The fact that I've used spell check every day is a form of AI. The fact that I use a phone tree every day to press 1 to do this, press 2 to do this, press 3 to do this, that's AI. So I think this actually just shows us as a perfect example that AI is broad. And we sometimes define it as just generative AI, which is the newest thing. But it's really important that we understand we all use AI every single day of our lives, whether it's buying something on Amazon, watching something on Netflix, or just using spell check.
Thank you, Jason. That's a beautiful perspective. Thank you. And Dr. Juliet, what do you think?
Yes, I was a bit surprised by the results because my expectation was that everybody said, yes, we are using AI. But I do get it. Some people are still not aware that they are using AI on a daily basis. But I guess that's why we are here to unpack all this. What exactly is AI and how does it support us as leaders in the HR space? So I guess, yeah, we are looking forward to enlightening by giving real life examples of how AI comes in. And Jason has given you guys a very good example of what that could be. So super excited, Lumda, for this to be this session. And yeah.
Amazing. Maybe we could start with the big picture in mind. You know, what's the future for HR in taking into consideration everything that's happening within the AI space? Tammy, can we start with you?
Sure. Happy to, Lubna, and thank you for the opportunity to join the session today and talk a little bit about the HR transformation journey that IBM has been on and how we've leveraged AI, generative AI, to help transform the way we deliver HR services. So I think, you know, if we do step back, there were sort of three driving forces that pushed us towards this path. You know, one is driving cost efficiency, also looking at the regulatory environment, and maybe most importantly, our employees were looking for more of a consumer grade experience. They wanted to experience HR services in the way that they experienced things externally, whether it's, you know, buying something online. So I think for HR, we will continue to be on this HR digital transformation journey. I think all of our HR roles, whether it be the HR business partner, a generalist, or in the in an HR function, pension, benefits, payroll, it will all be augmented by AI and digitization to help provide the services that we need to provide in a more cost-effective manner, and to help our businesses drive productivity. So I do think it's here to stay, and I think we have to start to get comfortable with that. And you know, like Jason said, understanding what it is, how we can use it, and how it really starts to transform the roles and the skills that we need as HR professionals.
So what I'm hearing you say is it's here to stay and it's not an option. It's a must in your view.
It really is for businesses to be competitive 100%.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Can I shift over to Jason? Jason, big picture, what's the future of the HR space when it comes to data, tech, and AI?
I mean, one of the things that's so important to understand is to put some perspective around this. We've had new technologies forever enter the HR space, and we've always been overly excited about them. You know, so for someone like me who's been doing this for a while, we had DOS. Some of you have no idea what that is. Windows, client server. Then at the moment, everyone said, let's go to the cloud. And if we just get to the cloud, everything's going to be great. You know, we had blockchain last year. Sorry. And then all of a sudden, we're talking about AI this year. What's really important to me and to hopefully everyone in the industry is that we think about what is the potential of being digital as an HR function and not over-indexing on the technology. Digital is a mindset. Technology brings that mindset to life. But if we don't actually have a digital mindset as an HR function, if we don't have a digital mindset in the culture of our organization, our signature of our organization, we can have all the technology in the world, but guess what? No one's going to use it. So the future is bright if we design with intentionality, A, and B, data is the spine that drives AI. And we have more data than we've ever had as a people function, yet at the same time, our data is a mess in many, 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 many organizations. Tammy's probably blessed to work in IBM and have great data. You know, if I was going to say, hey, wow, one organization that has great data, I'd say it's IBM and has a good knowledge management strategy. But a lot of us just have knowledge scattered everywhere. AI isn't great without great data. So really quickly, I think our future is amazing. I think we're in the middle of a printing press moment when it comes to the future of HR. But at the same time, it requires us to design and to deploy with intentionality.
Beautiful. There was one sentence that you said, which I found fascinating, and I'd love for you to repeat that. I didn't catch the ending, but I found it fascinating. Data is the spine of?
Data is the spine of generative AI, of AI.
Okay.
Or just AI in general. We can do data. Without data, there's nothing. I laugh when people say AI is bias. AI isn't biased. Data is bias. Like AI is dumb technology. Excuse me for anyone who's a technologist. What drives AI and what fuels AI is data.
Love that. Thank you. Dr. Juliet, what would
Thank
you
you.
like to add to the two amazing speakers?
Thank you, Lubna. I'm super excited about this topic, especially coming from a HR point of view. At SAP, basically, our approach to human capital management is not just about change, it's basically igniting transformation. To me, the future of HR is actually one where HR isn't just hiring and managing people, but we are looking about harnessing the power of data, as Jason rightfully said, data, technology, and AI to create transformative experiences for our employees and organizations alike. So in this particular future, I'm not seeing HR as a support function. It's not about paperwork or policies. It's about HR being a strategic powerhouse in driving the success, of the entire business. So with data at our fingertips, of course, we will be able to gain insights around our workforce, predicting trends, and also identifying areas of improvement before they even rise. So the most exciting part of this future is the opportunity for HR to be a true partner in shaping the future of work. So we are looking at embracing technology and AI, and meaning that we are able to anticipate the needs of our workforce, we are able to anticipate or adapt to change with agility, and also look into driving innovation across the entire organization. So if we begin with the end in mind, the future I see for HR with the integration of data, tech, and AI is nothing short of revolutionary. It's basically a future where HR isn't keeping up with the pace of change, but rather it's leading the change, driving growth, and empowering people to reach their full potential. I don't know about everybody in the call, but I am excited about this future, and I'm super glad to be part of it. Thank you, Lubna.
And I love what you said, because in our previous session, this was one of the things that we were discussing. Is HR perceived as a support function, or is HR perceived as a function that's leading organizations? And at the end of the day, the CEOs want to see what's in it for them. They want to see the organization grow. They care about numbers. And I think using data to communicate numbers is amazing. And I love what you said, Dr. Juliet, about how HR can lead that change rather than be perceived as a support function. So thank you for that. And I'm sure a lot of people would echo that sentiment, because that's what you all want as HR leaders in this space, to lead the future of your organization. My next question is, Gallup reports that 22% of workers have fear of becoming obsolete, and 800 million jobs worldwide will be replaced by AI by 2030. What does that mean for HR leaders? And if we can follow the same process, maybe I start with Tammy, and then Jason, and then Dr. Juliet. What does that mean when we look at these numbers overall?
Sure, thanks, Lubna. And I think that's a fair concern for people, right? And we certainly hear about that internally with the employees here at IBM. But I would say that AI won't replace people. It is going to shift the skills that people need. And, like Jason was saying, we all need to get comfortable with AI, understand the technology, understand what it means to, your profession, your role in HR. How are you going to better leverage that and continue to develop your skills? I think that's so critical. I think what's also important though, from an HR perspective is that, we have to be stewards of good tech, right? So while we're continuing to leverage AI in our different processes, whether that be for compensation decisions or promotion decisions, like significant milestones in someone's career, the information or the data that is produced by AI is really there to supplement the manager or business decision. We still need our managers and business leaders to make those decisions. So I think, it's so critical for us as HR leaders to be stewards, right, in good tech and making sure that AI is being used for the right purposes. But I would just say for anyone starting their career in HR or wanting to launch an HR transformation where you're thinking about needing to leverage AI, it's just making sure that the people on your team understand the importance of continuing to develop their skills and not finding themselves obsolete because they decided to not embrace the change.
Beautiful. Jason, what would you like to add to that? You are on mute, Jason.
Where's my AI to unmute me? Sorry. But just really quickly, I completely agree with what Tammy said. I'm going to just talk about a few things really quickly with the time we have. First of all, FOBO, FOBO, fear of becoming obsolete, is real. Okay. Now, anyone that turns on the news, old school, or reads an article online, new school, or gets a notification on their phone is going to see that there's a lot of talk about this. The media loves it. It's clickbait, and we're going to continue to see that. Looking at those quotes that you quoted, 800 million, 80 million. People keep adding zeros to the end of the numbers, which is funny to me. Every single job in the world is constantly changing. I actually don't think this is that fascinating in an interesting way. Jobs changed a lot during COVID. Do you remember conference calls?
Yes.
We remember when we didn't turn on our video? Like now we turn on our video. Jobs change all the time. So with new tools, with new ways of working, change is the strategy, not the enemy. Okay. And we as humans have to think about how do we continue to evolve? This isn't just because of AI. This has been going on forever. Some of you remember Lotus 1-2-3, then Excel came out. Sorry to date myself. Some of you remember the calculator, fax machine, copy machine, long distance phone calls, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things change work. Okay. Now, the difference is AI probably has the potential, if designed intentionally, to change work more, because most of those other technologies, all we did is shifted work. We kept doing it the same way. We just used the technology. AI has the opportunity to make jobs more rich. I'll say it again. AI has the opportunity to make jobs more rich if we design correctly and we design the future jobs correctly. The last thing I'll just say on this topic, what we're seeing that if I break this down into some very simple language, the way work is designed is based on heads work. Let's start with, to the left, hands work, and at the end, hearts work. Hands work, heads work, and hearts work. Okay. What AI is going to do is it's going to eliminate a lot of hands work so that we can do more heads work and hearts work.
Absolutely.
Okay. That mindset is really important to keep in mind. Now, anyone who just does a lot of hands work today, data entry, data analysis, studying spreadsheets, et cetera, their jobs are going to change more than people who are on the front lines providing empathetic support to people. Okay. Our goal is we can move people from hands work to heads work and hearts work, once again, with intentional design. So, Lubna, I hope that makes sense. Every job is going to change. Okay. Every job has already changed. Now, does that mean it's going to be replaced? No. One of my favorite quotes from Professor Scott Galloway at NYU is that generative AI isn't going to replace jobs. it's going to replace jobs from people that don't know how to use generative AI. And I think it's a very important concept to keep in front of everyone right now.
Absolutely. And you said that anyone who's doing work with their hands will go, but what remains is the heart and the head. If we look at the balance between heart and head, what do you foresee? Heart or head or both?
It's both. It's a combination. I mean, what Tammy said it,
yeah,
just in a different way. I mean, Tammy said, how can I make better decisions? How can I use, and use technology in the right ways? All of this requires governance, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second.
yes.
Dunja, I hope I pronounce your name right, just said, I think the problem with AI is it's happening at a speed that humans cannot keep up with. Dunja, I agree with you, but I disagree with you. Every organization needs to have their own signature as the speed at which they move here. Don't feel pressure to move just because you're reading a lot of press or because vendors, sorry, Tammy and Juliet, are saying you have to move. Okay. You have to have the right governance. You have to have the right data. You have to have the right culture in order to make this work. Otherwise, what we are going to do, community, is we are going to waste the most amazing technology that we've ever had in front of us. Because what's going to happen is people are going to go there. It's not going to work. What are they going to do? Abandon. And then AI is going to be ruined. I beg us not to do that.
Thank you, Jason. Dr. Juliet, anything to add?
Yes, I do. So to me, the future of AI is fluid and it's quite complex. That's what I believe. I believe it's not really a zero-sum game. We are not heading for an all or nothing scenario where AI either saves us or dooms us, So instead, we are looking at entering a world whereby we as humans will be working alongside machines, and each of us bring their own unique strengths to the table. So if I think about 4 scenarios that come out of, this is number 1, job erosion. We've already spoken about it and said some people might lose jobs, not because it's because they didn't want to change or they didn't want to learn new skills. So there will be...
Sorry about that. Can somebody mute him?
There will be job erosion. So there are jobs that will disappear, especially the hands work, as Jason said. And then there's also the other aspect of augmented work, whereby we work hand in hand with AI. So AI will help us work faster. So that includes tools and solutions to help us do our roles more effectively or work better. So, and actually with unmatched precision and accuracy. So there's that augmented work scenario. And then there's the job creation scenario, whereby as companies begin using AI, they will need employees to create the code and keep it running. Yeah, so new jobs will come up definitely. And then there are the hard jobs, business as usual. So for example, sales representatives. These are jobs that require a lot of emotionally rich interactions. So with customers or partners. So these jobs, of course, might not really be impacted by AI, as they require the sales representatives to be out there and to speak, to the customers. So yes, AI is here to stay. It's up to us HR leaders to look at how we work alongside AI, and we look at rethinking how we are going to support our employees to upskill, for example, so that they can keep up to date. Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to continue on that last comment that you made. It's up to us as HR to continue upskilling or actually reskilling. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, like, how do you, all of you, and I'll start again with Tammy, how do you as HR leaders reskill or upskill your workforce?
Well, I mean, we're all responsible for ensuring that, we understand the technology, we continue to, stay up to date on our skills. And so it's just sort of, it's really embedded in our culture at IBM in terms of this culture of learning. But if I could just pause, because I did see a question come in and someone had talked about Arvind, our CEO, who had commented on, the whole back office HR transformation that's happening in our back office. I mean, he also talks about HR being client zero at IBM, where we look at leveraging AI and all the transformation work that we've done. So, I wanted to acknowledge that comment in the chat because it was reflective of a quote of our CEO, but, recognizing that HR was client zero. But no, I think from a skills perspective, going back to your question, it's also about the shift of as we're driving HR roles to be more delivering more higher value, right? So it's less of that transactional work like Jason was talking about, right? But really shifting to more strategic work, which for our business, which ultimately will need a shift in creating different skills, right? So, our HR chatbot does over 800,000 transactions from helping to support employees and managers. So we don't need people doing those types of roles anymore, but we have to think about what are the skills that HR professionals need for the future? It's developing our more business acumen skills. How are we helping the business make smart decisions using the data, using AI? So the skill piece is really critical. And I also think it's the ownership on part of the individual to make that commitment to continue to drive their skills. But for us, it's really a shift to higher value work. And we've seen an increase in, the band level or the role level that we have in HR because of this shift to higher value work. So, I think that's a good news story when we think about this from an HR profession perspective.
Do you have a good percentage of people who use the HR chatbots?
Oh yeah. All of our upline managers and first line managers, so over 40,000 managers, upline and first line, use our HR chatbot for first line support to get questions answered. And it's like a 90%, 94% containment rate. So our digital assistant can capture 94% of the questions that they need to be answered. But then they also have the opportunity they need to have, if they have a more complex situation, there's live chat, they can, meet with an HR professional. So it's really changed the way that we deliver HR services at IBM.
Wonderful. And I'm seeing some questions come through, and we'll take the time to answer them at the end because
Sure.
this is questions specific to you, Tammy. But I just want to make sure that we try to stick as much as possible to the hour, if that's okay. But I love the fact that you have an HR chatbot, and I think that plays to the fact that HR can be more strategic, and we want HR to be strategic because that is a real pain point for our community here. And it was something that we discussed in our previous roundtable last month. So I love that that's what's coming up. Jason, if I can ask you to try to be brief on that one, and the same with Juliet, just so we can get enough questions answered, if that's okay.
Livna, really quickly, I'm going to add on to what Tammy said. Chatbots are cool. Most chatbots suck. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm just being very honest with you about that. So Tammy works for IBM, which has amazing technology and can build amazing things. If you ask most humans, would you rather talk to a chatbot or would you rather talk to a human? Most people say they'd rather talk to a human. Why? Because they say chatbots are either creepy, they're crappy, or they're clunky. And the reason why is because they weren't designed in a generative AI world. They were designed in a machine learning world. So if you don't type exactly what you want, guess what you get? Sorry, I can't help you. Now, that's not the case with IBM. IBM's done a brilliant job with this. But what's really important is that we understand, I'm going back to Susan's comment about who created chatbots. We understand that chatbots are only as good as A, the technology that they're built in, B, are they tied to generative AI, and then C, I'm going to tie it back to Mehmet's comment, which is we have to think about the concept of how do we design with high-touch human and high-touch digital in combination. Okay, not every topic we want to have someone talk to a chatbot, but we want that chatbot to maybe be our triage to decide whether they go down a digital path or they go down a human path. So AI has amazing potential when it comes to designing the employee experience. And finally, as Tammy just said, instead of us learning how to use a machine, generative AI allows the machine to learn us. And that's where we're going to see the biggest shift in how HR works going forward.
I love that. Thank you.
Great.
Dr. Juliet.
Yeah, mine is a slightly different approach, but it's a very simple way of looking at it. I put myself in the shoes of HR leaders. So what do you need to do now? What do you need to do to get ready for these changes? So HR is no longer about hiring people, but it's about welcoming these intelligent machines into our workplace. It's inevitable. We have to use them at some point, yeah, to some certain extent. So that means that we have to rethink how we do things within our organizations. We have to team up with colleagues who understand what AI is all about. Because from a HR point of view or where we sit, we might not understand the capabilities AI can have and how they can help us do our job better. So I think the first thing is team up with colleagues who know the inside and outside of the business, and also the tech savvy teams who understand all things AI. Work with them and see how AI will support us in our HR processes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juliet. I'm going to combine the last two questions together, and then we take a pause and make sure to give people enough space to ask you questions directly. So my last question is very practical. In practical terms, maybe can you share one use case of what you've done that has worked really well with one organization? And what are your 3 practical tips for HR leaders who are present with us today? And if we can keep the answers as short as possible, I would love that. Thank you.
Got it, Lubna. I will keep it short. I mean, I think our biggest use case is really our Ask HR chatbot. But to Jason's point, it was not always perfect. In our first iteration of the chatbot, it was, we produced way too much data. The NPS scores prior to deploying the first iteration of our chatbot went lower than it was originally. So in terms of the feedback that we were getting from the organization. So we had to quickly pivot and make some changes. So it's our Ask HR chatbot. Like I said, 40,000 plus first line and upline managers shifted to that, over a 90% containment rate. It is augmented by AI. So, I think that's our biggest success rate. It's helped to increase the productivity for not only HR, but for our business, right? Managers can quickly get an answer and they're not having to go to multiple people, multiple sources to get the answer. I think my top 3 tips for HR leaders is that, you may not get it done perfectly the first time, right? So I think be patient. I think it's important to have the right stakeholders engaged and being advocates for the use of it. I think when you're looking at what processes or a process to focus on initially, find the moments that matter to employees, right? Where are you going to have the biggest impact on your employee? So what we did, one of the first things we did, and maybe this seems really simple, is we automated or provided a way for employees to create their employment verification letters through the chatbot. So now within 30 seconds, you can go and generate an employment letter through the chatbot versus waiting days upon days. And there's high value there to the employees. There's a big impact to them both professionally and personally. So focus on the high value, make sure you have key stakeholders who will be advocates for the change and moments that matter for your employees.
I love that. And I love the speed, and I love the fact that you pivoted when something didn't go right. As a startup, I can easily relate to that because we get stuck, and it's important to just keep moving and keep pivoting.
And you have to break it down into chunks, right? Little pieces.
Beautiful. Love it. Jason.
Yeah, so really quickly, one of the things that's so important when we think about AI is this concept of changefulness. So, I'm just going to get to your three really quick. The first one is changefulness versus change management. Changefulness is opening the mind to working different. Change management is how to make change stick. We spend way too much time on change management and not enough time on changefulness, which is really, really key when it comes to AI. The second component is education. You cannot enable AI and think that HR is going to all of a sudden come up with all of these use cases for AI unless they actually understand AI. Okay, back to your initial question. How many of us use AI? We all use AI. We've been using AI for a long time. But it's really important to understand what type of AI. And then the third component is making sure we have governance. Okay, the only way that AI is trusted is through governance. Okay, what is governance? My simple example of what governance is stoplights, traffic lights. Okay, what do traffic lights do? Keep us safe, maintain some order. It's really important when you have technology that starts to think like the human brain that you don't just feed it a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have governance around your data. You have governance about how it's used. You have governance, and you focus on not go live. You focus on go begin. Because every single day, generative AI learns. Every single day, generative AI changes. And this requires a program, not a project. Okay, so changefulness, making sure this is something that HR is educated on and not something that IT drives HR's strategy on. Say that again. IT does not drive HR's strategy on. And then third, how do I make sure that I've got governance in place so that people trust what we're doing?
Thank you, Jason. And I love your stoplight metaphor. Sometimes stoplights stop working, and it's important to keep moving when they do stop working. Big picture, I think what you're trying to do is amazing, and putting governance in place is wonderful. Thank you. Juliet.
Thank you, Lubna. At SAP, we actually have over 24,000 customers who are already benefiting from our SAP Business AI. But I just want to give you a very small example that comes from the HCM, or rather from the HR process. So if you're a hiring manager, for example, tasked with finding the perfect fit for a role, so crafting a job description that's compliant and biased and on brand can actually be daunting. But with SAP SuccessFactors, you do have an assistant by your side, and they actually look into helping you draft a well-structured, bias-free job description in a fraction of the time it would take manually. So,
how long?
Yes.
How
so
long, Juliet?
How
if
long?
I can ask you. Yeah.
Actually, you can. Well, I wouldn't say how long, but I will definitely touch on how many hours are saved. You save over 2 hours, that you'd have needed to create a job description, read through it, send it to somebody, change it, and all that, all the effort that would be needed. So imagine being able to create that in a second. It's you put in your job description, and then AI comes in to basically look that it's well structured and bias free and all that. So it also provides a tailored interview questions. So you're looking at a job description, a candidate's resume, and AI coming up with relevant questions that you will ask this candidate to ensure they are suitable for this role. So the benefits is that you save time and costs in creating the job description, which I've just mentioned. And then you also elevate the quality of the interviews and preparation also for, the team that will be carrying on these interviews, that they have the right questions in place. So this professionalism and attention to detail will help you stand out as a HR leader, because you're able to do your work within a short period of time, but also based on the caliber of requisitions that you have out of there, you stand out to be an employer of choice. Your descriptions are not biased. You're attracting top talent, and you also have a seamless hiring process. And we also have the Jules. Jules is our AI co-pilot. I'm not going to go into it, but it actually makes each and every touch point count by ensuring that it's guiding users, whether it's managers or employees, in their day-to-day self-service scenarios, which I guess Tammy actually mentioned some of the scenarios. So as HR leaders, we are not just adopting technology, but basically we are the ones driving transformation. And with technology, you can be shape the future. You can be shaping the future of HR and ensuring that you're empowering your employees to have the right skills, for the future of work, so to say. So 3 tips quickly. Number 1, identify strategic priorities and align AI solutions. For example, if you're battling high turnover, you can use AI to spot flight risks and tailor engagement strategy to ensure that your top talent is actually not leaving the organization. So you identify what are the strategic priorities in your company as HR, and then align solutions to support this. Number 2, prioritize human and also machine collaboration. I don't want to say machine. It sounds like I'm coming out of a science fiction movie, but AI collaboration. So AI is here to stay. It's not necessarily here to steal our jobs, but it's basically to supercharge them. So what we can do is not forget the human touch. So this means that while AI takes care of the repetitive stuff, we need to focus on what we as HR do best, which is basically critical thinking, empathy, and building relationships. Number 3, build a culture of continuous learning and experimentation. We have to keep learning, right? New technologies are coming to every day. AI is changing, it's evolving in lightning speed, so to say. And what I guess I can encourage each HR leader is to look into their organization and see that their people are learning continuously, provide the trainings necessary, provide career paths that will speak to the future of work. What are the skills needed in the future? And ensure that these skills and enablements are available. So let's not be afraid to experiment, start small, and test the waters with pilot projects and basically learn from the results. So those are my 3 points. And I guess by following these tips, then HR can embrace AI as a transformative force and create that future-proof HR department that fosters thriving and an engaged workforce for sure.
Thank you, Juliet. I'm gonna request a pause here, if that's okay. It's been incredible to hear you. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of questions for you, some that came through the comments and some who will put their hand up and ask you directly. So I'm gonna ask that Nadine come on screen and just maybe make a few administrative announcements, if that's okay. And then we're gonna open the floor up for everybody to ask you questions, if that's okay. So thank you from me. I appreciate that. And Nadine, over to you.
All right. Thank you to all of our speakers and the discussions that were going on in the chat. A few quick announcements. As always, every month we've got an event. So our next event, May 29th, is on rewards and performance, continuing on with the discussion on digital. Please feel free to scan the QR code to register. We're also very excited to announce our schedule for the rest of the year. And if you will notice on October 8th and 10th, we have got our first e-conference, a 3-day e-conference, redefining the story of work. And it's actually going to be coinciding with Mental Health Awareness Day. And we're very excited to be doing this conference. We're going to have amazing speakers, celebrities, breakout rooms. So please save the date, and we'll keep you updated on that. And to build on that, and because we like to hear from you, what I would really like to do is maybe just get a quick check-in from everyone in terms of what would be topics that are most important for you to invest in for your employees that we can incorporate as we continue to build the schedule and the agenda for our conference in October. So if you can please just scan scan the code, type in your most topics that you feel are very important and you'd like to invest a bit more on your employees to be attending those. And I will just keep this up for a few seconds. And then after that, we can go back and I will spotlight our speakers and have the floor open. So if anyone else also has questions, Lubna, I see your hand raised. You can go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say for anyone who's open to having a 5-minute conversation as we shape the schedule for October 8th, if you're willing to have a 5-minute conversation with me, please reach out. I'd love to speak to as many of you as possible so that we do a program that is relevant for you and that is useful for you. And if you want to hear specific speakers, also please reach out and let me know. Yeah, I'd love to speak to everybody. Nadine, if we can shift just to be mindful of time to
All right, so what I'm going to do is I will spotlight our speakers and we can get started with the questions. Yes.
Sure, thank you. So I'm gonna start with some of the ones that were summarized by my team, but if I can ask, maybe we could do gallery view, Nadine, so we could see everybody. So is that okay? So that whoever has any question can put their hand up and can come live to the screen and ask questions. So I had a question to Juliet. How many clients, and if we can please keep the answers very brief, how many clients are you interacting with would subscribe to your definition of the role of HR? I think I said that right? How many clients you are interacting with would you subscribe to your definition of the role of HR? Is that clear, or maybe the person can come on screen and clarify? Not clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If the person is open to coming on screen and asking that would be wonderful. To Tammy, was the HR chatbot created internally by HR or on its own?
So the HR chatbot was created internally using our Watson X technology. So that's why Arvind talks about HR as being client zero. We have leveraged all of our Watson X AI technology in order to create, enhance, and further develop the HR services. So it's IBM technology, which we also sell to our clients.
Thank you. And this was to anyone, but maybe I'll address it to Jason. Does anyone have specific recommendations on specific HR learning programs, resources to get specific generative AI training for creating internal HR tools such as chatbots to answer simple people requests? Jason.
Yeah, just really quick, there's a lot of training out there, and I'm happy to connect with people on how you actually want to get it, quote unquote. But there's the ability, there's some self-paced training that's out there, which is great. There's a bunch of different discussions around what is AI. One of the things that we're trying to do is offer training in AI by domain. So a bunch of people, like Ali just asked, what are the best use cases in recruiting? Like, you really need to first of all do an umbrella training on what is AI, and then dive into it by domain, by our silos. Okay, by recruiting, by learning, by performance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to tools, just really quickly, there have been 8,000 generative AI tools created for HR in the last 9 months. 8,000.
Wow.
In the marketplace. So, and by 7,900 of them won't be around in a year from now. So what's really important is to understand how that fits in your body, your organization, so that you don't get organ rejection. We can talk more about that, offline, but really important to understand there's lots of tools. We can get overwhelmed with the shiny objects here, but what makes sense for the overall digital strategy of your firm is a really important question to consider.
Thank you. There's a question, what's the best use case in recruitment so far? Anyone want to answer that?
I'm going to say something controversial, Lubna, and then I'll let someone else answer it. You know, I love Juliet's example of writing job descriptions, but one of the things I would challenge us to do is not just think like, what if we all said job descriptions are fundamentally broken?
Mhm.
Just thinking. So what if all of a sudden we said, maybe we shouldn't do job descriptions anymore? Maybe we should use AI to think about different ways of advertising and writing what jobs are. So I think it's really important to do what Juliet said from an efficiency standpoint. And that's where SAP is doing great work. But then let's reimagine. Maybe the job description is old. It's, by the way, what we used to put in papers a long time ago. So I would love it if we'd start to transform or reimagine how we do things instead of just taking the way we do things today that might not be actually working and use AI to make them faster.
Juliet.
Well, I just wanted to touch on what Jason had earlier mentioned about training. So I'll be happy to share some links to some trainings available for everyone on opensap.com or our Learning SAP page. I'm going to share that with you. And also around the first question, I'm not sure if I got it right, but from a HR point of view, we have over 9,900 customers using our SAP SuccessFactors HCM solutions. And customers using business AI applications are a little over 24,000. So our AI applications cut across the entire portfolio, not just in HCM. But should somebody be interested, just let me know. I'm happy to take it offline on LinkedIn. So around a use case when it comes to recruitment was the question, Lubna, right?
Yes, and maybe you can touch base quickly on job descriptions. Should we just eliminate them or reimagine them?
I mean, there's always still the traditional way of doing things. So of course, as skills evolve, there will be different ways of bringing up or coming up with job descriptions or making it attractive for people to apply for roles within the organization. So this could be video snippets and etc. So basically what we are just trying to highlight is, we understand this is how you do your processes today. We can support that and make it more efficient. But also that was just a very small aspect of the recruiting solution. So we still have for example, what I mentioned, the gender bias detection, which is something that the tool helps us with. You have to ensure that, of course, everything that's written in terms of the job description, it's bias-free and all that. But also think about recommended skills. We would need different skills in the future. So the system is there to recommend to us who's the candidate that's rightfully or has the right qualifications to actually take up a particular role. And then another thing would be salary benchmarking. So determining the right salary, especially if you think about remote workers. How do we know how much does somebody in Kenya need to earn to have a decent, livelihood, let's say. So looking at salary benchmarking, the system can actually help you determine the right salary for a remote position and also ensure that this particular person that you pick with the power of the job analyzer is actually the right fit for that job and also of the right person in terms of skills and culture, language, and etc., regardless of where they are. So there are many things that are embedded, of course, in AI, the recruiting solution. This is just a snippet. And also, if I talk about the entire portfolio, would take the whole day. But yeah, we do support talent acquisition in various ways, as mentioned in my session.
Thank you, Juliet. I'm going to make sure we open the floor up for questions. I see a lot of people are already starting to drop off because we are at the top of the hour. If we can just do gallery view. We are in gallery view. Wonderful. Would anybody like to put their hand up and ask questions? Our speakers are more than happy to answer you. If any of you want to come off mute. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like answered before we hop off? No? Have I answered everybody in the chat? Team, have I answered everybody in the chat?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have. Okay. Well, I think you have Tammy and Jason and Juliet's links. Feel free to connect with them and keep the conversation going. I'm super grateful for their presence today and very grateful for your presence also. We'll try to keep the format shorter next time in terms of questions so that you all have a chance to come on screen and ask these. But I'm very grateful for your presence and I wish you a great evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you're joining in from. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a question? Somebody has a question?